Traffic lights flash with no traffic in sight. The neon lights are on, but nobody's home.
Have you ever wondered what it might be like if you were the last person on Earth? Well, I'd imagine that it would be something like this.
All of them were bizarre. All of them were surreal. There's no other way to describe just a city meant for thousands of people that's just completely empty.
China has at least 65 million empty homes, enough to house the population of France. I'm here to offer a glimpse into the country's massive housing market problem. This is a story of a city without people in the world's most populated country. If you drive an hour or two outside Shanghai or Beijing, you will find something odd. There are a lot of modern high-rise buildings. They are also generally in good conditions. But unlike their bustling Tier 1 city counterparts, they are basically empty. These are China's ghost cities. You may be asking yourself, how the heck did the most populated country in the world get to a ghost city? There are two reasons for that. First being real estate culture. As China's real estate market has risen to the forefront of the global conversation, with the real estate sector thought to make up about 29% of the country's GDP, a real estate development company, Evergrande, is racking up debt of over $300 billion, with more than 1,300 developments spread across 280 cities in China, which collectively house more than 12 million people. Evergrande's crisis stands to change the perception of real estate as a safe investment. The best known of China's ghost cities may be Ordos, a new town also known as Kangbashi, in the region of Inner Mongolia. Some of these cities might remind you of the good old lockdown days. These cities was intended in the early 2000s to eventually house 1 million people, a number that was later scaled back to 300,000. But as of 2016, a mere 100,000 people lived in it. Kangbashi eventually managed to lure in residents after the government moved some of its top schools to the cities. Remember, these are not cities in a state of disrepair. Instead, they are full of new buildings that were bought as investment. These homes being empty means they are sold out to investors and buyers, but not occupied by either the owners or renter. This is because of a strong popular belief that real estate is the best way to preserve and generate wealth, and this stimulates the demand for buying additional properties. Demand for units, however, and this is where the mismatch comes into play, has been affected by a series of factors, like the increasing unaffordability of homes, an aging population, and slowing population growth. China's 2020 census, which recorded the slowest population growth since the 1970s. They built an oversupply and then they sold it, and that's why you see the vacancies. On the supply side, the government gets big sales revenue from leasing out land to developers. This gives the government a very strong incentive to encourage development instead of limiting it. In addition to the government promoting development and driving supply up, there is a matter of China's urbanization rate. Data from the World Bank indicates that 61% of China's population lived in cities as of last year, up from 35.8% just 2 decades earlier. Also, there were flaws in China's urbanization plan. Rural areas were reclassified as urban, so people who lived there were like, what can I do? What can I? And they never moved. All this combined shows Chinese reliance on the sector as a driver of economic growth, and that's a problem when the government is heavily reliant on households continuing to invest in real estate.
It can't stay this way because we're in the upswing of a bubble, and when the bubble bursts, it will make a lot of people, well, it'll simply impoverish vast numbers of people.
So, a slowdown in real estate will cause a deterioration of economic growth and government finance. But luckily, the government has ways of reducing the risks of this happening, like literally stopping you from selling your house and effectively controlling the market.
This property bubble is mirrored across the country. If it bursts, China could experience an economic slump, which would have huge implications for the entire world.
The takeaway from this video is, all hail our Chinese future overlords. If you saw this, like and subscribe.